Hello, this is the Trews. We've got an election coming up, haven't we? Plus my film Emperor's New Clothes. Bankers made hundreds of billions in the run-up to the crash. Then all of us gave them hundreds of billions to pay off their debts. So we were in debt.
Cheers. Because we are all in this together.
So why don't we today talk about politics and forthcoming film Emperor's New Clothes and see if we can contrive some worthwhile policies and discuss the limitations of traditional Westminster/Washington politics. Here are some truths. Let's make a bit of a start, shall we? How about a 90% income tax for the richest 1% of people? What? All right, that would include me. We don't have to rush that one through, that's complicated. 90% inheritance tax for anything over 1 million quid. My kids are fucked. If they're ever born, probably be idiots anyway. No, they'll be plucky. Stop tax avoidance. Stop avoiding it. Everybody equal under the law. These things aren't controversial, but they're not happening now. How about a living wage for everyone? Good, the old colours, aren't they? Some of those policies will be Green Party and indeed Labour Party policies, and so you might think, well, that's good, that's a positive thing because there's an election, so we could vote for the Green Party or the Labour Party. But what, as you know, I'm interested in is the political realm and the true power that is beyond the purchase of conventional democracy. For example, listen to this. Only 50% of the economy is controlled by the government. That means half of everything they're talking about is out of their, and so therefore our, control. Half of it. The Bank of England sets its own interest rates. It's an unregulated body that is the linchpin of our entire economy.
The Bank of England is undergoing a criminal investigation by the UK's Serious Fraud Office.
So even like well-intentioned people, Caroline Lucas, Natalie Bennett, and even like, you know, cool people like Tom Watson, and we don't know for certain that, like Ed Miliband seems like he's quite nice, doesn't he? But they won't have any power over that. I don't think any of them have got a policy, we're going to take control of the Bank of England, we're going to take control of the city. So some of these policies, simple reformist policies, can be enacted by the Greens and Labour, and that surely is a good thing. But these super important things, which I'm explaining to you, can't be purchased by conventional political power unless we, the people, truly come together. How about, now hold on to your hats, we make them bankers pay back that money we gave them? How about a financial transaction tax to stop all them gamblers in the city? Could we possibly break up billionaires' monopolies of the press so you don't have one liver spot-covered tarantula man running the entire media? Media ownership's an issue because all of the information we get from them passes through a filter that serves corporate interests and private interests. All media has an agenda. Around 70% of independent media is getting its profits from sponsorship or advertising. This means they won't have free editorial control. For example, the Telegraph's well-popularised coverage of HSBC and their tax scandals, and Murdoch's pro-fracking stance, where he explicitly supports fracking, from which he benefits financially. No one should be able to own more than 49% of one newspaper. Don't you want to hear a politician go, day one, we march into News International's offices and start kicking over typewriters? They don't have typewriters. Doesn't matter then. How about we change company law so companies like Apple can't say, oh, we have to avoid taxes. It's the law to not contribute to society. It's the law that we base our business in a tiny island that's got no people on it. It could be good to do that, and I'm sure the Green Party and Labour Party, I'm sure that they've got policies about closing tax loopholes. But another problem is as we're almost certain to have a coalition government, which you won't get a majority for either of those parties, they won't be able to deliver on their manifesto. Like the Lib Dems, of course, said they would scrap tuition fees, and Labour said they wouldn't raise tuition fees. Both of those parties ended up doing that. So just because something's in a manifesto, it don't mean people are going to do it. The only way really to make politicians responsible is for us to have direct control over them, the kind of a dissolution of this centralised power. That's what I believe in. I don't believe in less democracy. I believe in more democracy. I don't believe in less voting. I believe in more voting that has an impact. All companies should have workers, consumers and members of the community represented on the board so they can be part of the conversation. All workers should have shares in the companies they work for. That's good. Make that the law. From football clubs to big industry to Pret-a-Manger, workers should be represented. Businesses should be cooperatively run. The same way that the City of London, do you know the City of London have a geezer that sits behind the speaker and goes, oi, you better not bloody well do that. He just sits there and makes sure that the City of London Britain's ancient interests represented as a result of some legislation that I think went through maybe 1,000 years ago. I mean, check the details for yourself. But there's just some guy in there who we're not in charge of goes, "Hey, I don't think you will be putting a transaction tax in place, me old mugger. Bosses' pay and workers' pay should be related and decided upon by a cross-section of workers in the company." That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? No one in the company can earn less than a tenth of what the governor earns. That would balance everyone out. So if the governor wants to earn loads, you've got to pay everyone else loads. We need to give people the time and space to come together in communities, in shared enterprises. Change does happen, and it can happen quickly. 35 years ago, we had a revolution secretly for the richest 1%. That's, of course, a reference to the sell-off of public housing, which bloody the Tories are trying to revive, the daft lunatics. Some other important information that I think is well worth considering is distribution of land and wealth. You know that a third of our country, Britain, is owned by aristocratic families. That's not going to change as a result of election, unless someone explicitly has in their manifesto, day one, we start marching up to, for example, the Duke of Westminster's front door, one of his many front doors. He's got 300 acres of Mayfair and Belgravia worth 10 billion, and go, "See that land?" "Yes." "I don't know if you've noticed, your worship, your lordship, your honour, what the fuck ever we're supposed to call you, a thing called homelessness, a thing called poverty. Well, you see all this stuff, it could end it. Now all we need is a revolution for everyone else. We're going to have to simply take back property and wealth from some really, really rich people. Not in the Green Party manifesto, not in the Labour Party manifesto, because these ideas aren't popularised because it means genuine, true change. So my criticisms of conventional politics is not sort of, I'm not a pessimistic person or a condemnatory person. I don't think Natalie Bennett or Caroline Lucas or Tom Watson or anything other than lovely people trying the best. They're the very kind of people you want doing this bloody administration. You don't want me in charge of that, but to get us to a situation where real change is possible, we're going to need people to come together collectively and stop disempowering ourselves for voting for things that can't bring about real change. We have to access the true power, the corporations and the elites that are behind the facade of democracy. I've told you once and I'll tell you again, we need a revolution. That's some true news. Subscribe here. Go see Emperor's New Clothes. I'm sure there'll be problems, but we're trying our best. Subscribe here.
Nose is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the nose. If the nose was true, I want some trews. Let's have some trews.